Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the regular meeting of council for the Township of Malahide on April 2nd, 2026. I'd like to call the meeting to order at 7:03. We'll begin with the O Canada. Please stand if you can.
O Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all of us command.
Car ton bras s'est porté l'épée, il s'est porté la croix. Ton histoire est une épopée des plus brillants exploits.
God keep our land glorious and free. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Next item is the approval of the agenda. Any changes or additions? Deputy Mayor Widner.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I got a notification from AMO today, and there's quite a few things coming up. I don't know if you've had a chance to see it yet, but they're announcing the changes to the government structures in quite a few places. There's a new Buy Ontario initiative going to be on, which really wants you to buy your vehicles and everything from Ontario, but I can tell you they don't build backhoes and big trucks hardly in Ontario anymore, so I don't know what the plan for that is.
Okay, so sorry, we're just at the approval of the agenda. So do you want to add something under announcements?
Yeah, I didn't realize this. I wouldn't put this under.
Yeah. Okay.
I think it affects Malahide. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll add an item under announcements. Anything else? Okay, we have the resolution, please.
That the April 2nd, 2026 regular council meeting agenda be approved as presented with the following addition, announcements, AMO updates.
Mover and seconder, please. Councillor Serna moves. Councillor Lewis seconds. All those in favor? Motion is carried. Disclosure of pecuniary interest. Deputy Mayor Widner.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I've won the under item G quarter revision for the Newell drain.
Thank you. Noted. Anyone else? Seeing none. So back to announcements then.
Okay, thank you. I guess I got ahead of it, but
Go ahead.
yeah, I don't know if you've had a chance to review this today. It came through about 5:45. Lots of things, whether we should be concerned or not, but I don't really like when the government tells us how to run our governance structures.
So I presume then, just so then everybody can get on the same page. So this will be in correspondence just 2 weeks from now, right? At our next meeting, because all the AMO notifications are. So, maybe we'll take away that there's several announcements that we should be
Yeah,
paying
maybe
attention to.
staff could give us their take on how this would affect us, because I imagine it's going to, especially with the purchasing, and there's rideshare programs and all kinds of things coming up. So thank you.
Right. And yeah, there were several announcements made this week as well, I think on the planning side. So I think there will be a staff update on that, on the implications for official plan. So yeah, so we'll take that away as or the takeaway from this is that yes, like if there's anything coming out right now from the legislature, then and with direct impacts on Malahide, then if we can have follow-ups from staff and if there are any implications, they'll be beneficial.
Development charter.
Yeah, there's a very long list that came out earlier this week. Yes. Other announcements, Director Spoor.
Thank you, through your worship. Today we have last week we went through, it was it was First Responder Wellness Week. So the township partnered up again with Lexipol. And it's a significant event aimed at enhancing the health and safety and resilience of the public safety personnel. Each day of the week focused on various themes and provide access to resources, training, and awareness initiatives focused on stress management, resilience, peer support, and overall health. This initiative is especially important to fire as firefighters are regularly exposed to high stress and potentially traumatic situations in the course of their duties. Prioritizing their wellness not only supports their personal health and longevity, but also enhances their ability to serve the community safely and effectively. We are extraordinarily fortunate to have the dedicated members of Malahide Fire Service, and this initiative has become an annual opportunity for support the mental, physical, and emotional well-being of our fire family, while continuing to build a strong and sustainable culture of wellness within the organization. We would like to also recognize and thank several of our local businesses for their generous contributions during the First Responder Wellness Week in support of Malahide Fire Services. And they are Healthy Lifestyles, Nutrition, and Wellness Centers. They offered a 15% discount throughout the week. Miller's Independent Grocery Store provided a fruit basket. Torque Gym donated 2 6-month memberships. Butter Me Up for a wonderful gift bag of natural products. Flower Fountain was a planter, and Huckleberry Cakes and Coffee offered a 15% discount for first responders all year. So these contributions reflect the strong support of the local businesses and the community, and are sincerely appreciated. And I'd like to thank Sue and Monica for helping organize getting all the gifts and stuff. We just made a draw within the firefighters and gave away the gifts, and it was well received. So thank you.
Thank you for letting us know about that and for the whole team to organize that. It's so nice that this is being recognized on so many levels, even at the provincial level with additional funding. And the more we talk about it, normalize it, and then the more support we can offer firefighters and emergency services responders. So thank you. Okay, this brings us to adoption of minutes. We have the minutes from March 19th. Any errors or omissions? Seeing none, resolution.
That the minutes of the regular council meeting held on March 19th, 2026 be adopted.
Thank you. Mover and seconder, please. Councilor Leach moves, Councilor Wilson seconds. All those in favor? Motion is carried. Next, we have a meeting of the Court of Revision. So can I have the resolution so we can sit as the court?
The Council of the Township of Malahide does hereby appoint the following members to sit on the Court of Revision for the Newell Drain: Mayor Dominique Giguere, Councillor Rick Cerna, and Councillor John H. Wilson. That the Court of Revision for the Newell Drain be called to order at 7:11 p.m. and that Dominique Giguere be appointed chair.
Thank you. Mover and seconder. Councilor Lewis moves, Councilor Wilson seconds. All in favor? Motion is carried. Okay, so we do have Mr. Varican. Yes. Can you please briefly outline the nature of the proposed drainage works and the related assessment schedule, please?
Yes, thank you. We have the Newell Drain relocation. We had consideration for this approximately a month ago here on, I believe, March 4th. We had an existing pole barn that was built on top of a tile there, so we're relocating that. There was also some investigation work done for the upstream property to facilitate an improvement, including designing a new tile. They chose not to proceed with that as it was a good working order, but we have a total estimated cost here of $18,000 and 100. The majority of the assessment is to the work where the relocation is happening, with the increased engineering assessed to the Eiseldike property, as they were the requester for the original investigation work and engineering work. As far as I am aware, there have been no formal comments or concerns received by the township, and I would recommend the schedule of assessment remain as is.
Okay, thank you for that. Is there anyone in attendance online? We'll double check. No. Okay, so there's no one in attendance in the chambers or online. So I'll open it up for discussion. Members of the court, any comments or questions? Member Cerna? Nothing else? Okay. So the Court of Revision members will now consider a resolution to confirm the rates presented by the engineer.
That the Court of Revision members for the Newell Drain do hereby accept the recommendations of drainage engineer Spreets and Associates, and further does hereby confirm the drainage assessments as outlined in the report of the drainage engineer dated February 5th, 2026.
Thank you. Mover and seconder, please. Counselor Wilson or Member Wilson moves, Member Cerna seconds. All those in favor? And the motion is carried. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Have a nice evening. Happy Easter.
Easter.
And so, Clerk Adams, can I have a resolution to close the Court of Revision and resume the regular council meeting of council?
That the Court of Revision relating to the Newell Drain be adjourned and the council meeting reconvene at 7:14 p.m.
Thank you. Mover and seconder, please. Counselor Wilson moves, Counselor Cerna seconds. All those in favor? Motion is carried. Okay, we do not have any delegations this evening, so this brings us to approval of business. There's one item that was discussed by the Committee of the Whole at our last meeting. That was the mailbox policy. There were a few suggestions and a good, healthy discussion, thorough discussion, we'll call it, and lots of options. So I see from the report that there are some revisions being suggested. So Director Gobby, do you want to share that with council for our consideration, please?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you to council, this policy has been updated based on some of the conversations at last meeting. If you look on page 17 of your agenda, it is page 3 of the revised report. All revisions have been highlighted in red just for ease of tracking. To quickly go through it, section 4.6 was removed in its entirety as it was redundant. It was just a simple one-line statement talking about plastic mailboxes that didn't really seem to have any real purpose in there. Section 2 was service standards, which was basically to add in some approximated timelines for responses, basically establishing some expectation that we are going to advise as soon as it is practical, so that that damage has been caused and that a claim is being made, that within approximately 2 days we will get out and investigate, and then within another 2 days we will get back to the people and let them know the results of the investigation. It's basically just to try and at least have something written down to help guide expectations. That being said, these things are and still do all remain weather dependent. However, even in talking with staff, we are confident that we can continue to meet or exceed most of those expectations like we already do. So I have a lot of faith in those guys. Section 3, we basically, or point number 3 here that starts on the top of page 18 is some commentary about the discussion about retroactivity. And through more thorough thought, we are suggesting that we don't look at retroactivity for this winter season, and that this policy and the compensation increases and all the process would be essentially made effective this coming winter. So the 26/27 season, that is just kind of we had to draw a line somewhere, and that was kind of some of the conversation we had last meeting. So that is our suggestion, is that just to clear that point up, that we don't look at any compensation modifications to things that have already happened, but going forward, starting this fall, that we will apply this policy going forward. And then number 4 is on page 19, and it's just kind of providing a bit more written context to our discussion about why we are not wanting to get into the world of decorative or ornamental type mailboxes. And just to basically say that, you know, we believe that we have a role and some responsibility to say if we did do some damage. However, we're also with the fact that mailboxes are permissible encroachments. They are within the road allowance. They're in a perilous situation or a location to begin with. That it is our recommendation that we stick to our suggested method of just dealing with a standard post and a standard box, just to stay out of the realm of debate on all the various types and expenses that could be associated with people who want to install decorative features within the road allowance. And then probably the one that we spent a little more time on was the varying replacement options. And that is laid out in the flow chart, which is later on in the report. Basically to say that we're looking at, or our suggestion is that we can do basically 4 different things. We can do nothing and reject any claim if there is no evidence that the township is at fault. We can replace the post and a box with the standard items that are outlined in the policy. We will go out and install the post for someone who wants to perhaps look at putting their own box on. And by doing that, they can also receive compensation for a new box if the box has been destroyed. But that way, at least they can have a little more selection of what they want to do. The compensation rate we're suggesting would be $50, which is the approximate cost of a standard black steel mailbox. Or they could request compensation for the $125, which is they're going to do the post and the box all themselves. And in which case we would just go out and say, yes, we recognize that this was an action or a damage that has been caused by us. And in lieu of us doing any work, here's the money, you can take care of it yourself. And that is basically the gist of all of the changes or suggestions that we discussed last meeting. Staff were in agreement that they all, to us, and it seemed to council, seemed to make sense. So we've revised the policy to mimic or mirror that. And the new policy starts on page 22 and continues on. If council is satisfied with that, we will happily have that approved and applied going forward coming this following winter. If there are any questions, I will happily answer.
Okay, so I'll just procedurally, I just want to check with council. Do you want to discuss this a little bit further and comment? Just because if we do, then I'll move it under unfinished business. If it's good as is, then we'll leave it as a consent agenda. So Deputy Mayor Widner, do you want?
Yeah, I'm fine with the way it is. I think we've done a good job, and I've checked with a couple other municipalities, and we're kind of going over and above what they were doing, so that's pretty well enhanced. And I also read this week that maybe door-to-door delivery is going to be discontinued anyway. It's being brought up to discuss with the union. I don't know if that means rural or not, but it very well could just mean we're going to have centralized mailboxes, and that won't be anymore at the road. So, thank you.
Just a comment?
To modify.
Okay, so we'll move it under unfinished business and then we'll open it up. So then that way, that leaves us room to make some additional suggestions and get a different resolution. So Councillor Leach, go ahead.
Thank you. In your flow chart, it has repair, replace. But as a situation that arose from this past winter season. The post just needed some repair, and that's not reflected in the policy. Is there some way to incorporate that? Because currently staff is aware that that's an option, but for future staff, if the mailboxes do not come into play for communal mailboxes, it would be nice to have it reflected that there is the ability for staff to make informed decisions about whether to leave the post and straighten it as opposed to replacing.
So everywhere it says replace, it could say repair/replace. So that way you always have the option. That could be an easy fix. Director Godby or Councillor Leach?
Yeah, through you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, I agree with what you're saying. I was just quickly scanning to see if we had any other exact wording. I think we could add some of that clarity under section 4, where we talk about damages. And that could be as simple as adding another version of 4.6 that, something to the effect that that staff will exercise reasonable judgment in determining whether a post or a mailbox is to be repaired or replaced. Yeah, I think we can wordsmith something a little better than what I'm just pulling out of my hair right now, but we can definitely incorporate something like that just to make sure that is also clear that it's not always just a replacement, that it can be repaired. If something can be repaired, we don't want to just replace it if we can repair it.
Thank you. Because the flow chart makes that clear, but not in any of the contextual notes is that specified. So I just wanted to have that reflected.
Thank you for that. Any other comments or suggestions? Seeing none, the resolution, please.
The report number PW 26-11 entitled Mailbox Policy be received, and that council approve the mailbox policy as amended with additional clarification provided under section 4 in regards to repairs.
Thank you. Mover and seconder, please. Councillor Lewis moves, Councillor Cerna seconds. All those in favor? The motion is carried. And now under new business, the first item is the use of corporate resources for election purposes policy. Clerk Adams.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Tonight I am just bringing forward a couple of reports that are legislative required in the election year. So the first one being the corporate resources for election purposes policy. This policy is reviewed before each municipal election, sets out clear rules for use of corporate resources. Section 88.18 requires these rules, and adopting the policy ensures compliance with the Act while promoting fairness, accountability, and public confidence, protecting both council members and the township. It ensures that municipal resources are not used to support or give an unfair advantage to any candidate or campaign, and that council members can continue to fulfill their duties. Adopting this policy today ensures compliance with the Act and promotes fairness, accountability, and public confidence during the election period. If there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Thank you. Any questions? We're ready for the resolution when you are.
And that report number clerk 2604 entitled Use of Corporate Resources for Election Purposes be received, and that the attached use of corporate resources for election purposes policy be approved.
Thank you. Mover and seconder, please. Councillor Cerna moves, Councillor Leach seconds. All those in favor? Motion is carried. And the next report on the establishment of a joint compliance audit committee.
Yes, so for this report, section 88.37 of the Municipal Elections Act requires that each municipality establish a compliance audit committee before October 1st in an election year. Historically, Elgin County municipalities have worked together through a joint committee to handle these matters efficiently. The draft terms of reference attached to Schedule A outlines the committee's term, meetings, mandate, composition, appointment process, compensation, etc. Once all member municipalities approve this joint committee and the terms of reference, recruitment for the members will begin as described in Section 7. Establishing this committee ensures compliance with the Act and promotes transparency and accountability in election campaign finances. Council approval today will allow us to meet the statutory deadlines for the upcoming election.
Perfect. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, resolution, please.
The report number clerk 2605 entitled 2026 Municipal Election Establishment of Joint Compliance Audit Committee be received, and that bylaw 26-23 establishing an election joint compliance audit committee for the 2026 municipal election in accordance with the Municipal Elections Act 1996 as amended be adopted.
Thank you. Mover and seconder, please. Counselor Wilson moves, Counselor Leach seconds. All those in favor? Motion is carried. Next, we have a set of bylaws. And then unless there's any discussion on any of them, we can pass them with one resolution. Go ahead.
That the following bylaws be now read a first, second, and third time and finally passed. Bylaw 26-17, Restricted Acts. Bylaw 26-22, Use of Corporate Resources for Election Purposes. And Bylaw 26-23, Municipal Election Establishment of Joint Compliance Audit Committee.
Thank you. Mover and seconder, please. Deputy Mayor Widner moves, Counselor Cerna seconds. All those in favor? Motion is carried. This brings us to Committee of the Whole. There is one item for consideration, so we'll take a resolution.
Resolved that we do move into Committee of the Whole.
Mover and seconder, please. Counselor Lewis moves, Counselor Cerna seconds. All those in favor? Motion is carried. So the one item we have for discussion by the Committee of the Whole is the Human Resources Policy Revision. So I'll turn it over to Manager Lowen.
Good evening. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you to Council. This report represents a deliberate step in modernizing the township's human resources framework and our policies. These policies that are in front of you this evening focuses on both current employees as well as those who we are trying to attract in the future. Importantly, I just would like to highlight that we've done this work in the right order. We've established our service standards, customer service standards. We've strengthened performance management practices and built a culture of accountability. So that foundation allows us to introduce more flexibility and vacation in a structured and responsible way. So the report brings forward updates to 4 key policies this evening, and they are hours of work, flexible work arrangements, statutory holidays, and vacation. These are the policies that employees interact most with on a day-to-day basis. So in the first policy, hours of work, I'll just highlight some of the key changes to each policy. So this policy clearly distinguishes between office hours, which reflects service to the public, and standard hours of work, which can vary rule by rule. It also recognizes that operational departments require different scheduling models while maintaining consistent service delivery. And finally, it connects with the flexible work arrangement policy to ensure a consistent framework. The next policy, flexible work arrangements policy, the policy is consolidating a number of older policies, and we've kind of built them into one policy here just so that we have a clear framework and ensure that we're not contradicting with any other policies. It introduces a structured approach to flexible hours, remote work, and flex time, while ensuring that service delivery and team collaboration, operational requirements, all of those things are maintained. The remote work is limited up to 2 days per week, and that is a change from our current 1-day remote week, subject to operational needs. It also introduces a controlled flex time model, allowing limited time banking while maintaining office coverage for the office hours that I just talked about in the first policy. Importantly, this is supported by our existing performance management practices. So expectations and accountability can remain clear because we first want to establish a baseline, right, of what is expected. The next policy, statutory holidays, this one was just kind of revamped to separate ESA statutory holidays and the employer provided holidays. There were no additional times for each category that were added. It was basically just to modify to have that distinction between the two because there are different rules in terms of eligibility.
Yes.
Employment Standards Act. Yes, my apologies, abbreviation, ESA. The last policy in front of council this evening is the vacation, and this is the most significant update, and it directly supports retention. The key changes, we are starting vacation at 3 weeks. Previously, it was the ESA minimum, which was 2 weeks. And it provides a clear progression of 1 additional week every 5 years. So we're really trying to target the early years to increase that retention period. It also recognizes prior experience, which this is really important because then we can target experience candidates, right, that have already built up their careers. And so we're able to recognize that time and move it to vacation. The other additional change that you'll see there is for part-time employees. Our current policy only acknowledges the minimum for part-time, so they could be working with the township for 5-10 years and never increase in their vacation percentage that they receive. So we've now aligned it to what the full-time get, but it's only in the percentage, right? Because they receive the pay, the vacation pay. And that just improves fairness and retention for our part-time people. From a market perspective, comparator municipalities are already offering 3 to 7 weeks of vacation, so we're very aligned to what they're already offering. And the policies are really designed just to provide meaningful benefits earlier, where we have the greatest retention risk. From a financial perspective, the impact is modest. It's just the increase to part-time percentages that we are paying. So it's quite manageable within our current budget for our part-time people. So overall, this is a low cost but high impact update that aligns with modern municipal practices, supports employee retention, and ensures that we can still maintain our service delivery. So we are confident in closing that we have both the framework and the leadership practices in place to implement these changes effectively. And I'm happy to answer any questions that council may have.
Thank you for that. Lots of work again. So I'll open it up for discussion by the committee.
Okay.
Deputy Mayor Widner.
Yes, thank you, Mayor, and I want to thank Sue for working on this after our last onerous hiring episode. We realized we had to update our policies and we're going to have to do more to attract the best. So I'm glad we did make some changes and hopefully that'll bode well for us in any future hirings. So thank you.
Other comments or questions? Councilor Cerna.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. ESA for holidays, the minimum is 11 a year?
The minimum is 2 weeks, so it's 4%.
No, statutory holidays.
Oh, my apologies. Statutory holidays, the minimum, I believe, is 9, which is listed on the statutory holidays.
And how many do we get?
We get the minimum. So whatever the ESA statutory holidays are is what we receive.
We don't give our employees any more extra?
That's the employer approved holidays. So
Right, how many do we get extra?
I didn't actually count all of them. We did. Let me just pull that one up.
While you're looking at that, I just want to say, I'm kind of old school here, and I do believe we have excellent staff. So I hope nobody takes my questions as um, bad. You know what I mean? I do believe, and I've said this time and time and time again, that we do have excellent staff and we're only as good as the people we have working for us. So don't take any of these questions the wrong way. But I am old school. Like I retired and I don't still know what a 35-hour work week looks like. I can't believe a 35-hour work week. Okay. I never had I never even worked a 40-hour work week. At one time in my career, I worked 20 years. I worked two full-time jobs. I farmed and I worked full-time off the farm. So 35 hours a week is gravy train to me. Okay. So I'm old school mindset. So please forgive me. I'm going to apologize before I even start. Okay. So I just want to know how many holidays we end up getting.
Through you, Madam Mayor, to Councillor Cerna. Yeah, thank you for sharing your perspective. So in total, there's 12 days.
12.
12 days plus the half day before Christmas and all the days between Christmas Day and New Year's Day.
All right. So now what's the total then?
Yeah, I think it's 15 and a half.
What does that mean?
When there are two at a time.
So 15 and a half holidays. Okay. That's good. And that's everybody.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Because I got that done. And then you talked about vacation time for part-timers. So we got that done. And wages you said are comparable to other municipalities? Are we in the ballpark with them?
Yes, so we did that market review.
Yes.
And so, yes, that would have been 50th percentile to our comparable municipalities.
Okay, good. And you talked remotely working. Now, I thought the government said we're getting away from that. Now, are we moving towards that when everybody else is going back to the workplace? And now we're saying, okay, we're going to start working remotely. Now, explain that to me, please.
Through you, Madam Mayor, to Councillor Cerna. Great points that you bring up. I have heard the exact same response. Those are coming from bigger organizations where they're able to perhaps exceed with compensation or factor in other alternatives for employees to be able to attract and retain. Coming from a smaller organization, it becomes more difficult. As Deputy Mayor Whitner mentioned, just in our last recruitment, it just takes a longer time because we aren't able to compete with those bigger cities. And so by, being able to apply flexible working arrangements can sometimes attract, people, even when we look at remote work days, we can actually attract people that may have to drive less, right? If they're from London or from Tillsonburg area or Norfolk area, they're not driving as much and as long. So we're able to attract those types of candidates.
So, and I just want to clarify, the directive issued by the province is for Ontario Public Service. It doesn't apply to municipalities. We are free to set up our own policy. And so generally speaking, I think it was brought up that right now we're trying to mirror what some of our competitors and other municipalities are doing, and that's what we're facing. So I'll just then ask you, so do you have a specific concern or like in terms of the three objectives we're trying to achieve here is maintain good service levels, modernize so we can attract and retain our employees, and still work within, something that is financially still manageable. Any concerns on those three items? Okay.
Okay, my last one. You're talking about retention and giving all these benefits and things like that. And I know we went through an arduous process to in the last thing, it took 6 months or whatever. My next question is, are we not starting out asking too much? Like, when we're advertising for a new position, you want all this experience, you want all this stuff and then things like that. Can we not? And I always go back, like I said, I'm old school, but when you want 6 years municipal experience and you want this and you want that, is it not better to maybe start out saying, well, maybe, and I think Councillor Glinski said this one time, they're churning out new people all the time. Every school's graduation ceremony comes in May. Maybe we could start with some fresh blood. And you don't have to do all this stuff and offer all these things and offer them the world and let them work from home. And I know this from my experience on the farm. Everybody wanted experienced pickers. And I had a 15-year-old or 14-year-old. And you train them well, and you got them for years, and they do the job the way you want. And I know our neighboring municipality hired a kid like that, and he turned out to be an excellent person. So maybe we're asking too much when we start, and we don't have to go through all this stuff. And they turn out fantastic. So maybe we're setting our goals too high to start with. That's my opinion.
I was looking at the deputy mayor, if you wanted to comment on that as part of even just our last round of recruitment, and especially for a director position. Was that your sense that the bar was set too high?
No, I would say it is. We actually had trouble filling the bar, I believe. Like it was just, and we had some candidates too that they want top dollar before they even think about it, and way above our range. Yeah, I agree. It'd be nice to hire somebody fresh and new, but with like the position we just hired, you have to have some municipal experience at the minimum and lots of treasury experience. And we fulfilled it the best we could. And I don't know. We didn't get anybody that fit the bar at all, really, perfectly. But we made our decision. I think we're going to be fine. And I don't know what the answer is to that. There isn't a whole lot of municipal workers out there. There isn't a big pool anymore. And we found that with our headhunter guy. There just isn't people out there. That's just the way it is right now. So.
Mayor, this is something I don't know. Why isn't like a treasurer? You'd think somebody would want the job, I don't understand why people aren't, like, the pay's good, at least in my mind, and the benefits and everything, and why isn't there a lineup from here to Timbuktu, people lined up for wanting that job? I just don't understand.
Deputy Mayor, and I do want to stay on track on this policy because we're veering off a little bit, but a comment from the Deputy Mayor and perhaps CO Diaz if you wanted to chime in as well. But again, I want to bring it to any concerns on the policies that are being proposed. Deputy Mayor.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Just about the wages and things, the private sector pays really well in a lot of jobs. We were getting beat by the private sector. We were paying less than what they were getting at some of the positions. So much as we don't think that's the truth, and not everybody wants to work for municipality. With all these municipal changes and the strong mayor powers where they can walk in and fire you because they don't like the way it looked that day, it scares a lot of people off. So we're trying our best with that. I don't know what the answer is, but the private sector is paying very well for a lot of these positions. We've lost, I know even the county, we've lost positions that are paid more than we were paying at the county, and I thought the county paid very well, but just something to be cognizant of. It's a learning experience when we go through this.
Yeah, and I'll add to that, this is a combination. It's part attraction, but it's also retention. You may recall we received feedback from our employees, and it's important like this. So we took all of that feedback and what's happening in the market. Why it's happening, that's a whole other discussion, but this is reflecting what is happening. CO Diaz?
Thank you, Mayor. One of the points I just wanted to bring up is that when it comes to competitive advantage, we can't really compete on salaries that can be offered with larger municipalities, but what we can compete on is flexibility. And also when it comes to talent, we've seen the difference that especially talented individuals can make in transforming the municipality. It's, I think, a key goal to look for those individuals and do what we can to bring them on, especially since we are such a small organization and there's not much room for slack. Finding those talented individuals and bringing them on board makes a key difference. And then just the other point is the largest population base is the City of London. And unfortunately, a lot of people that live there and perhaps talented workers aren't looking to come out of the city for a job. So having to come in only 3 times in a week offers feasibility to attract these talented workers from a greater area.
Councillor Leach.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, through to Manager Lowen. So because we're small and we are flexible, how does this policy affect when people are taking holidays? Will down the road, will we need to look at an additional person to be able to cover off when people are away, or is that manageable within the office?
Through you to Councillor Leach. Yeah, great question, and something that we're really mindful of, right? We are a small organization, and each one of us has to bring, their best and their performance in doing their tasks and their duties as required. So one thing to keep in mind is that all of these flexible work arrangements, vacation times will still have to be approved by the supervisor. So the supervisor is responsible for ensuring the service delivery, operational requirements, all of those elements still are fulfilled, even while their team member might be on vacation or in a flexible work arrangement. So it always ties back to operational, like, are we able to do this? And if yes, how is this going to work? And when we're implementing a policy like this, it is sort of like a trial and error type of situation where is this working well? What improvements can we make, right? In general, I can comment that our team is very accountable and knowing that I'm the only person, right, that does payroll, for example. I know that I have a deadline, and so I have to meet that deadline. And so our team recognizes those deadlines and makes that a priority. And so I think in terms of accountability and performance management, all of those elements work together. So I don't anticipate that, with these changes, any staffing changes or additions will be necessary for that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good discussion. Any other comments? Deputy Mayor Widner?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Just to mirror what Nathan was saying is a good point. Wages, we cannot compete with the bigger places. Like we just look at St. Thomas. We just lost one of our top staff and it was a whole lot more money than we could even dream of offering. So it's sad. And I know one of the other municipalities lost their CAO today and that's probably one of the drivers. So, and most candidates we did interview did inquire about work from home. And that seemed to be a big part of the process because there's more of a work-life balance with not the new generation, but younger than, we're used to. So I think we have to be cognizant of that. And if we don't change our policy, we're not going to attract who we need to attract. And I know there's a lot of people don't like the work from home, but I think it does work and I don't think they abuse it at all. I think they can actually get more work done and do it in a timely fashion. So thank you. And thanks, Nathan, for bringing that up because I know it's frustrating. We can't compete with London or St. Thomas, but people don't want to drive an hour and a half a day there and back to go to work. I don't blame them, especially with gas at $1.75 or whatever it is. So that's right.
Yeah, good points. And that's why I'm glad that, so you mentioned also that this is coming after, like well after, so that the service standards have been established. So the employees and the supervisors already know. So there's clarity. You can't say, well, I didn't know I was supposed to do X, Y. So that's well established. Then the culture of performance management is also established. And so now we can add flexibility and on top of that and gain some sort of advantage if we can. And just have just a better engaged and probably more productive employees overall. So good. So again, thank you for a lot of work on this and very careful considerations. It's hard to balance all of the needs in a small organization. So any further comments or discussions? Seeing none, then we'll consider the resolution, please.
The report number HR 2602 entitled Human Resources Policy Revisions be received for information, and that the committee recommends the policies attached be brought forward to a subsequent council meeting for consideration to rescind and replace.
Thank you. Mover and seconder, please. Deputy Mayor Whitner moves, Councillor Leach seconds. All those in favor? Motion is carried. Thank you. And that was the only item for the committee of the whole, so we can come out.
Resolved that we do not move out of committee of the whole and reconvene the regular council meeting.
Mover and seconder, please. Councillor Lewis moves, Councillor Leach seconds. All those in favor? Motion is carried. And the next item is correspondence. There are 19 items. Anything that needs to be pulled out for discussion or support? Deputy Mayor Whitner.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Number 18, the Northeastern Manitoulin and the Islands request for the Ministry of the Environment to reconsider the oil grade used in tar and chip surface treatment. I'd probably like to ask Jason a question. Do we feel that would be advantageous to our road program?
Through you, Madam Mayor, to the Deputy Mayor. I honestly don't know. I've put out a few feelers when I did see this, to do a bit of fact checking on what exactly has been changed. Is it something that affects the tar and chip products that we are using in this area? I have not heard back yet, but it is something that did definitely catch my eye to think, like, is this a legitimate problem, or is it an issue perhaps that is more localized or dealing more with one specific company doing installation or other companies doing installation? We haven't really seen an issue with the work that we've been having done. I'm not aware of any legislated changes in product mixes or in any of the asphalt products that immediately go, oh yeah, I never thought about that, and that makes sense to me. So I couldn't really sit here and confidently recommend that yes, this would be something that we would support at this time, but it is definitely being looked into, and I would recommend, I guess, to myself that I bring back some information on that, because it is definitely of interest, and I think warrants some further investigation.
Follow up.
Okay, thank you for that. You're right. I mean, who is checking this anyway? When we get it from a company, are they saying, no, you have to have this lower grade than the higher grade, or can we get, good points you have there, and if you check into it, it'd be nice to know, because it costs a lot of money to do these roads, and we get the best product and the best application oil. It'd be great, so thank you.
Councillor Leach.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would like to support, I believe it's number 12, the veterinary college expansion. Being in a rural area and having livestock, it is very difficult to get large animal veterinary service, and it's only getting harder. So anything that we can do to encourage more veterinarians being graduated is a good thing.
Thank you for that. Good point. Anything else? Seeing none? Resolution, please.
That item 12 be supported, and that the remaining items be noted and filed.
Mover and seconder, please. Councillor Surna moves, Councillor Wilson seconds. All those in favor? Motion is carried. And we have one item in closed session, so resolution, please.
The council move into closed session at 7:58 p.m. pursuant to Section 239(2) of the Municipal Act as amended to discuss the following closed meeting minutes of March 19th, 2026, and a labor relations or employee negotiation matter relating to employment contracts, job evaluation, reconsideration, Section 239(2)D.
Thank you. Mover and seconder, please. Counselor Lewis moves, Counselor Serna seconds. All in favor? Motion is carried. Okay, welcome back. We're ready to come out of closed session with the resolution, please.
The council move out of closed session and reconvene at 8:21 p.m. in order to continue with its deliberations, and that the March 19th, 2026 closed meeting minutes be adopted, and that council directs staff to proceed with adjusting the position following the job reevaluation for the building plans examiner be approved and the position be adjusted to the appropriate pay band in the township salary grid.
Thank you. Mover and seconder, please. Counselor Lewis moves, Counselor Serna seconds. All those in favor? Motion is carried. And confirmatory bylaw?
That bylaw number 26-19 being a confirmatory bylaw be given first, second, and third reading and properly signed and sealed.
Mover and seconder, please. Counselor Wilson moves, Counselor Leach seconds. All those in favor? Motion is carried. And adjournment.
The council adjourned its meeting at 8:22 p.m. to meet again on April 16th, 2026 at 7 p.m.
Thank you. Mover and seconder, Deputy Widner Mayor moves. Counselor Serna, Deputy Mayor.
Okay, you're on the same drugs I'm on then.
That's right. I'm losing it. Deputy Mayor Widner moves. Counselor Serna seconds. All those in favor? Motion is carried. Have a good weekend. Happy Easter.